All right, everybody, welcome to Tuesday Talks. Good evening, everyone from all across the country. Hey, we've got a very exciting program tonight, lots of content to share with you, and we've got a very special guest that is going to come in and talk to you a little bit about what's going on. For those of you that are joining us for the very first time, we started this program last year in March, April, as everyone around the country was being locked down, quarantined, and what have you. Normally, I would be traveling all around the world and doing live events, but hey, we're not going to let a pandemic stop the way we want to help people. And so we pivoted, we improvised, we adapted, and look, we started this awesome show, and we're very excited. We have been in negotiations with a company that we are looking to syndicate the show on an actual TV show. I'll give you guys more details about that later on, but man, has it been incredible. We've had amazing speakers on our show, thought leaders, authors, influencers, CEOs of major companies, movie producers, artists, singers, pop singers, you name it, Olympic gold medalists. We've had them all. So just so you guys know that I have a very special guest here today, all right? This particular special guest, all right, did not grow up with a silver spoon in her mouth, all right? She worked at the very bottom and worked her way up, okay, back in 1993 at the age of 21. She got in with LA Fitness. How many of you guys ever heard of LA Fitness before, right? Do me a favor, put your hands up high. It says raise hand. She got in at the lowest level, entry level, all right? She got into sales. She worked hard, man, you know what I mean? And she was focused. She was competitive. She was hungry. She wanted to be somebody, right? And she became the assistant GM. 6 months later, guess what? She becomes the general manager of an entire club. Imagine the responsibilities there, right? Because, when you become a general manager of a club, you got corporate coming down and breathing down your neck and making sure that they're meeting the bottom line, okay? They don't care about all the motivational stuff unless you're what? They want to see the bottom line profit. Then guess what? She gets promoted. Then she goes up to become regional VP. And now guess what? She is now the executive vice president. In 2019, she was promoted as one of the biggest people over at this clubhouse, LA Fitness. And I know a lot of you guys have memberships and all that kind of stuff over there, but I want you to realize that she crushed it. And I asked her if she would come over here today on our show and talk about what the secret was. So without any further ado, guys, let's welcome to the show, Lisa Lopez. Lisa.
Hello. Oh my gosh.
Applause. Give her a big high five.
High five.
Yeah.
I love high fives.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for inviting me to share my story, my experience with the workbook, Think and Grow Rich, the whole series. It's just an amazing journey. And I just so appreciate you allowing me to share that. And, helping anyone out there that had any kind of a similar situation to help, get yourself going, taking that first step, and then continuing the journey. So thanks so much. I really appreciate that. And, and hi, everybody, all the Think and Grow Rich, family members out here and the team members. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love the workbooks. And, I was just sharing with John that I'm on my fourth one. And, the kind of funny thing is someone asked me, why did you redo another workbook all over again? Why not just change the little numbers in there? And my response was, have you seen the 13 steps to riches? I mean, it's a lot of work, and you do a lot of evolving, growing. Every time you grow, one of the best, and the second thing I thought about, so the first thing that came to mind when someone asked me that question is, have you seen the 13 steps? The second thing is, one of the owners of LA Fitness, he's very big on fundamentals. And there's our sales fundamental book, there's our management fundamentals book, and he wants us to read it one time every year, reread it. And the concept to that was that you do grow, you change, you evolve, and you become a different person, and you catch concepts or ready to grow on another concept but you're coming and rereading that material with a level of growth, and just a new level of knowledge, and you're looking at the information differently, you're hearing it differently, and just evolving with it. So, if there's one, concept that I would absolutely would share is doing this. And so the fundamentals of John's book, I highly recommend. Read it once a year. Go through the book. You're going to change, evolve, and grow and become a better at so many levels of your life, that every time you read it, you're going to grow in a completely new way. So I wrote a few things down, and really, what the Think and Grow Rich series did for me was just give me sound principles, steps to follow, and organize myself and give myself an organized way in approaching the things that I wanted in life. So what I thought, what I could share, and really my goal to come on to, to speak, and is just really to help anyone out there. If there was just one or two people that could relate, I'm going to be a happy person. It's one of my joys in life, is really, truly, I mean, it sounds kind of maybe cliche, but I love helping people. I feel like it's one of my gifts. I'm a giver, and I love helping people. So this is, something I wouldn't normally volunteer for any kind of speaking event, but when it means that I get to help someone, I'm saying yes more to stuff like this. So I just wanted to, read off a few things here that I wrote down just as some notes. A little, this is, to me, for those who want something that you don't have. I mean, what's this book about? Like, what is this book going to do for me? And if you're asking yourself that question, every person should be asking, what can this do for me? So if you want something that you don't have, you desire to be like or have kind of qualities as a person that you don't have yet. If you have a dream to do something that you haven't done before, but you would love to see yourself do it. If you crave a life that you're not living, this book is for you. And this book, and I wrote this down because it really, tugged at me. The way I looked at it was, I do have good and bad news for you. And I usually ask my team, what news do you want first? And everybody always says good, because the bad news, it kind of sets up, it'll maybe take off the burn of any kind of bad news. So I'm going to give you the good and the bad news of this book. The good news is that you just found a sure path to getting where you want to go. Whatever it is, you want something, you desire something, you're dreaming something, you're craving something in life, you just found a sure path to getting there. No matter who you are, that's important to know. The bad news is you just found a sure path to getting there, and no matter who you are, stay the course, don't stop, and keep moving forward, because it really, truly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. I want to help with laying out. My team, I'm very thankful to be somewhere where you start when you're 21. In about 6 months, my husband and I were turning 49. So to be somewhere for the most part, except for 7 years, and that might come up in my sharing my story, but for the exception of 7 years in that, 28 years now of being with one company, you grow a lot of relationships, you get to know a lot of people see your story. But because, as a leader, I've always learned, when you're out with your team, don't share anything negative. Don't speak anything negative. Speak positive, and just stay focused at work, on work. And it's one of the, distraction control items that I wrote down and I learn and I practice. But so here's what may look like the great, story the best story that I could create up until this point of my life. So I have an EVP title. It's awesome. I have an EVP salary. People think it's great. I have EVP benefits. That's another big perk. To talk about, how many stores, 96 stores and 5 VPs and all this like fun stuff to like, wow, it's, people like really commend and compliment that. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit and touch, circle back around that. I've got a great husband, a beautiful home, great family by my side, an even equally more amazing family that I married into. I've just like a lot of great things I can talk about. Family stability, comfortability, great credit, vacation yearly. I mean, I love all these things I get to write down, like where I'm at. I have lunch with my dad or breakfast typically, and we play golf. Try and do it once a week, but if we don't, we're definitely going to follow up. So, I can go on, but it's not nap time. So that's where I'm going to stop. But there's a lot of great things that I am so grateful for, and so really accredit this book, the steps, the principles. But unless you know where I come from, unless you know what really the story, how it all started, and not be so good in easy times and the EVP this, EVP that, it's that's the part that if I can have anyone relate, if I have any kind of common denominator from these things I'm about to talk about, then this is a great foundation. These are great principles that you can practice. And one of the owners, he says this, he says, amateurs practice until you get it right. Professionals practice until you can't get it wrong. So I embrace that. There's certain key things I literally I can read every day and just inspires me to just go out there and make a difference. But it's so true. People who are willing to just be good will do it until they get it right. Okay, good. Okay, I'll get that out of my way. But if you've got to be persistent, you've got to want to master something that is, it's worth it when it adds value to your life, when it brings comfort to you and your family. So I want to share with you, the reason why I wanted to share that with you, because to me, the things, all the wonderful things I get to say, how life is great now, those are things that can't be inherited. These are not the type of, the Think and Grow Rich series are not anything that you can inherit. So parents and family members can't leave these things to you. And so, the steps, the work that it takes to grow yourself and walk yourself through these steps and practice them until you can't get them wrong is invaluable. It's something you can hand down the work and the qualities that you need to, the steps to your kids, and give them the ability to grow their own riches. I mean, if you can hand anything down, a dollar amount or these steps, I would pick the steps. I really would. I would pick the steps any day. So, the next part of what I want to share before I start getting into, some Q&A is, the journey to getting to this point where the workbook, the book got into my hands. And so what I kind of pointed out was childhood was hard. Teenage years were even harder. Didn't get really, I think it got a little tougher in maybe my 20s. My dad, threw me out of the house, well-deserved, a few months before I graduated from high school. My dad, such a huge, again, I played golf with my dad weekly, have breakfast with him. We just so I can tell him every week what a hero he is to me and what an amazing father he is, and just how many times I see his lessons and the things that he talked about in these memos, in these books, in the courses that I take. So, I just want to point that out before I go on to some of the points that I want to make there. It sounds a little bit like my child sounds a little bit messy, but thank God that, my mom left me a gift, and she left me before she passed away. Tomorrow is a new day. So, and I hope that if anyone is going through some tough times or having a hard time right now and just trying to find a path to start journeying up, and when is the climb going to start, then think of this, that tomorrow's a new day. Be positive, be good to others, work hard, and be a giving person, and good things will come your way. I embraced that. I clung on to that for many years when things were not going very well. So, and here's a few reasons why I clung on to that gifted statement she gave me. She passed away right as I turned about 8 years old. She passed away of lupus. And, so we lost a very big pillar in our family very early on. The childhood difficulties on top of that didn't get good grades. I got probably a C average at best. There were some D's and F's in there, but with a C average, I barely, made I think graduation of high school. There's, let's see. I also grew up in East LA, so I find that great, that John and I were practically neighbors at some point in East LA. There's an influence of the environment. There's a safety sense. There's, if you grew up in an area where you didn't quite feel safe, you didn't quite like, the environment or where you were, then we have a lot in common. If you lost a parent early on or before you were ready to, we have a lot in common. I threw myself into sports because that's where my alter ego, my confidence really came out. And I just felt very confident in that. So I did find something. However, my dad was my coach. So he really, my grit, my focus, my work ethic came from both my mom and my dad. But my dad, being my coach, really drove it home. So I try and give a lot of love to my team. Tough love, empathy, I try and give as much as I can to them, but my dad really pushed me. And his motto was just, the world isn't going to be very kind to you. I'd rather push you and be hard on you, but it comes from someone who, loves you. So, I was very fortunate for that because it didn't get any easier after high school and going through some challenges there. But, on top of that, so my dad promises my mom before she passed away that she asked him, get us out of East LA. So he's able to do that. And we moved to Laverne. So in that move, it's Laverne, East LA, if you're very familiar with it, it's just two polar opposite worlds. The way they value money. I didn't even know what a designer label was when I moved to Laverne, but that's the first thing girls look for when you're, making friends or in their circle. So I was a little out of place there. And in East LA, because I've got the Spanish features of my family, and I'm like one of 2 out of 50 family members that got the light skin, everybody else dark skin. So I didn't quite fit in skin tone wise. And thank goodness my family that all went to the same school. We were almost like a grade level with everybody that was included in my family. So I wasn't the best fit in because I didn't look like it. So I go to Laverne and same thing, not quite fitting in because I did, but you can tell like I really was out of my element when it came to getting to know everybody. So why am I talking about all these things? Because what looks like, difficulties, talking about, I lost, because I don't want people to get scared of where they were and feel like, I have a high school degree. I'm an executive VP. It took a lot of work through the Think and Grow Rich workbook to not feel intimidated about the constant promotions. Like I actually turned down and people thought I was just nuts, but just the fear of just not being in a group where I saw myself. But I turned down 2 VP promotions throughout my whole career, turned them down. I felt like the general manager position, I felt very confident. I had a limit. I put a ceiling, but my work ethic was incredible. I was very positive. I loved working with people. My team, I just was able to get the most out of them. And I bonused, they bonused, everybody, it was just so flowing. And that high school ceiling that I placed on myself, without the Think and Grow Rich series, without a couple of other things that the Bible, without the certain things that I have, my faith, my spirituality, without that, I wouldn't have been able, I think I've been able to take the concepts that Think and Grow Rich a little bit easier because I have had other kind of foundational books in my life. But, when you are given someone like myself, I'm ready to work hard. I'm ready to give myself, I'm ready to throw myself into something to improve myself. I love improving. It's like a joy to improve and to get better. It's one of my dad's requirements. And that's where, in my bio, it's very important. I strive for the top 10%. It's specifically my goal. If I'm wherever I am, if I'm in sports, if I'm in if there's anywhere I'm competing, I want to be in the top 10%. If I'm on the bottom of the top 20%, if that makes sense, I'm a little concerned. I'm gonna pick apart my game and figure out why am I, at top 19%? Why am I getting too close to that 20%? And the reason why I use those numbers, top 10, top 20%, my dad always said, where do promotions come from? They don't look at the bottom 20. They don't look at the middle of the pack. They're going to look at the top 10, and if they have to pass somebody up for some other reason, yeah, they'll go to the top 20%. But anytime I drop below that top 20%, I'm looking and dissecting my game. I must improve. I got to get it to that top 20%. So I use those numbers just from my dad and, his expectations. And it made sense to me. So I stick with those numbers. I did, so just throwing in some setbacks. I want you to know the setbacks that I've had. I lost 100,000. So I was, in my first marriage, I was cheated on. I got a divorce. I lost 100,000, as if that wasn't enough for a person to go through. I lost 100,000 in the divorce. No need to go into detail, but it's a long story. It was a very disappointing experience to go through, as well as going through all that in the divorce. I in that 7 years that I left LA Fitness, it was to start a family with my first husband, and some other things had occurred. Like I wanted to stay busy. We weren't starting the family right away, so I want to stay busy. I opened up a business. It meant to be just to keep me busy until our family got started. It grew. I just, I don't know what it is. I just feel like money follows me. Honestly, I do. Aside from losing 100,000, I do feel like money follows me. And a lot of it goes into what I put into the work. But in this, I grew up to 3 businesses, 3 stores. Once I opened this business, and met a person who was not the business partner who I thought, lost 100 grand in a deal just through bad books that I was given. And so I'm happy to answer some questions that, that maybe people, if they're thinking about getting into a business, that, we can touch up on that later. But I just wanted to make sure that you knew, when people meet me, they're like, oh, one of my team members said, I want the Lisa Lopez life. And I remember reading in a book, it says, if you pick up one end of the stick, you have to pick up the other. So if somebody says, oh, I want to be this person, I wish I was that person, I wish I had that position, I wish I had this. Well, the book said, well, be careful, because you pick up one end of the stick, you're going to pick up the other. So one is not going to come, the title doesn't come without the responsibility. Like John talks, there's all these things that we may not know. You're in finances, so you have finances. You can't, if you choose not to manage it, you're still holding the stick. So you're still going to manage it in some way. You may as well learn to do it right. So, I laid out what are the great things happening in my life. Oh my gosh. I mean, I can keep going on, but again, it's not nap time. I can probably keep going on with some bad things that have happened and some setbacks that I've had along the way. But what really is ultimately important for me to make sure you guys are getting the concepts is these steps have helped me overcome and really to lose 100,000. It was almost eerie and kind of scary, but in a way where those amounts were the same exact amount both times. So I knew that there was a lesson in there, and there certainly was a lesson. And I certainly take full accountability for both of those losses. It is not their fault. I look at it into where it's my fault. And there were things I could have done that could have avoided that. So I prefer to learn from my mistakes by taking full accountability and what I could have done differently. So it's, that's an important principle that in practice that I put in is accountability is huge. So you got the good, you got the bad, there's more to both. And I don't know if I've, fulfilled, enough and given enough background, but, the 13 steps, the reason I asked that person and they asked me, I'm sure, well, why do 4 workbooks? The work that it takes, I'm just going to go over some of the 13 steps, and talk about the fears, because the 13 steps, you cannot take shortcuts. You cannot decide to skip a step. You cannot, and that's what I have learned. So I'm going to be fully honest. In my first 2 notebooks, the workbooks, I should say, of the Think and Grow Rich that helped me apply the 13 steps to riches, I think I only got through halfway through the book. I set my first income goal, and I reached it. I gave myself 2 years, my first time to reach it. It happened in 18 months. I was so surprised that, it happened that fast, because I was planning on, okay, if I don't hit it in 2 years, I'll readjust my plan time-wise. And I did a whole new work. I'm like, wow, this really worked. This workbook, it works. The concepts, the 13 steps, it works. So I set another notebook. I ordered another one, went through the whole, and I went through again. I maybe just did a couple more pages. It's almost like over 138 pages, the workbook, but it's so detailed in the steps, and it is not difficult to get through. It's just each step is, you really have to put yourself into it. It's not, you have to put great effort into the work, the change. Like John said, you first have to change the way you think. The way you think is going to produce feelings, and it's going to impact your actions. So when I looked at the first step, burning desire, I could create some burning desires and why I wanted and set the goals that I did. But it wasn't, I think, until the second workbook where I really got into the burning desire. Like, I got more into detail about what it meant to me to achieve the next goal. So the next goal was, wasn't so much the regional title, but it was an income, and kind of the income doesn't come without, you can't, get to that income level salary wise. You can do it in bonus wise maybe, but not in salary wise. But it came, the regional, I didn't put regional title, that's where I wanted to be, but I did put an income, and it kind of came hand in hand. So, what that actually, the steps, I think I went through, I was up to persistence, step number 8. So by burning desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, and persistence, I got there, and I was able to surpass 2 of my income goals and 2 different levels of VP. Then, it's gotten to where this next book, I'm going for it. I'm really going to stretch and add another 75,000 to my salary. And there is one more level with my company that I do plan to get to. And it's in stone. It's already there. So it's now just a matter of performance and more growth and more learning. So through these steps, they're not exactly, it's not like burning desire. Okay, but you just get better at the steps. They become more principles and values. Like, you really value some of the steps, and requires sitting down, taking time to really think about the steps and the exercises and the questions that the workbook asks. It really makes you think and deep down, because you can't just think, well, what are the tapes that hold me back? What are the things that I tell myself that hold me back, that I think of that creates a hurdle for myself, and then how do I, basically, you're learning to rethink. And we are as human beings, I heard this in a study, 98% of what we do by the time we're 19, 20, 98% of what we do is through imitation, how do you think babies talk in full sentences before they go to school? It's mimic, it's repeating. So it's not necessarily everything that, we learn from parents and from, immediate things around us are not always exactly what's going to take us to where we want to go as we get to the points where we have dreams, we have goals, we have desires, we have wants that are outside of maybe what we grew up with. So I think that, those 13 steps. So I'll reiterate the 13 steps if you don't have them in front of you. So number 1, burning desire. Number 2, faith. Number 3, auto-suggestion. Number 4, specialized knowledge. Number 5, imagination. Number 6, organized planning. Huge one. Decision is number 7. So step number 7 is decision. Step number 8 is persistence. Step number 9 is power of the mastermind. Step number 10 is mystery of sex transmutation. 11 is subconscious mind. Number 12 is the brain. And step number 13 is sixth sense. One of the things that, I remember reading from The Art of War, which is one of, a book that I reference often and just have some kind of connection to it. I really respect the book. But fears. So it says, know thyself and know thy enemy. And, you can expect to win the majority of your battles, if not all. But fears. So you really have to understand your fears when you are approaching things and when you're approaching a goal. Just like I can recall every minute where I let a fear hold me back. Number 1, poverty. The second fear that they talk about is criticism. The third fear is ill health. The fourth fear is loss of a love of someone. The fifth fear is old age. And the sixth fear is death. Those are the common 6 fears that keep people from achieving their goals, their dreams. Those fears, which I've read before and use this and remind myself, it's a false evidence appearing real. So fear, acronym, false evidence appearing real. So with that, I hope that I've shared enough to know that this is not just, growing up and just having the perfect home element. I've had a few stepmoms and those. So if anybody out there can I think just relate to anything I've said there, just know that, so many, to be given specific steps and to be given principles that will help you grow away from any kind of, grow into, I should say, your dreams. There are specific steps, and you absolutely have found the right book, the right steps, the right principles that are going to help you get there. So John, I hope that's helpful to others. And if there's any kind of Q&A, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, well, thank you, Lisa. That was awesome. Can we give her a big round of applause so far, guys? All right. Well, so I'm curious, with the workbook, which one did you use? Which workbook are you using for the Think and Grow Rich?
This is, it's adapted Napoleon Hill's landmark classic Think and Grow Rich by Joel Fatinos and August Goal. So this is what it looks like. And
okay.
You can see up there, I've got the 3 first notebooks that I have, and I keep them, and I use them to just see my growth as well.
Awesome. Now, so when you got that workbook, did you just sit down and just study by yourself and apply it to yourself? Did you have other people in your group, or how did you work on your workbook?
I started it by myself, and then I actually, when I started reading the steps, I just thought, this is gold. This is just, direct steps and simple ways to apply. I can, I would, and I love giving and I love helping. So what I did is I got a handful of my team members, and I said, let's do a group, let's do a team, let's do this together. So, I put this in the hands of my team, and there's a few of them that stuck to it. And you're going to find, different reasons why people, will take a break or then they'll revisit. But I had a group with my work fellow team members to do it together with.
That's awesome. It's great. So I don't know if you guys got that, but like right now, that workbook is available on Amazon. You guys should get that workbook yourself and use that as a guide. Some of you guys right now at work, you're trying to set promotions at your job. Maybe you guys have a business and you guys want to have a goal as a certain amount of production or, sales or, distribution for a certain number of units of whatever it is. You can't just wing it. Does that make sense? I hear people say, I'm just going to wing it. Well, you can't wing your way to millions of dollars, guys. You can't wing your way to success. Napoleon Hill says that you have to plan. What is your plan? And you have to plan it, up here. Does that make sense? And you got to do plan it on paper. Like how do you, like, you don't get a contractor that says, I think I'm going to build a 10,000 square foot home over there. How are you going to do it? I'll just wing it. I'll just start building it out and we'll see where it goes. Do you realize they have a blueprint? But first it has to start up here. Then it goes down to a blueprint and then it goes into action. And that's exactly what Lisa did with her book, her workbook. She visualized it. I'll bet you right now that Lisa already knew she was going to become an executive vice president. Like she knew. I'll be there. Like I'm going to be EVP. I mean, do or die, no matter what. And I'll bet you everybody else said, yeah, you guys, they probably had their little conversation. She's on crack, man. She really thinks she's going to become an EVP, man. You guys think, and then you know what? She crushed them. All right. How come they're not all EVPs? And whatever your goals are, you guys, go do that. Go get that book and start going through that book yourself and start taking some notes, because as you're writing it down on the paper in your workbook, it's going into your head. You start to visualize this stuff. Okay. It's real. This stuff is powerful, man. You know what I love? What Lisa said was, would I leave my kid behind $500,000 or would I leave my kid behind the 13 principles? Right? So that they can, it's like, do I want to give them $500,000 or do I want to teach them how to go make $500,000? So that's pretty powerful, you guys. A lot of people are sitting there. The parents are like, well, you know what? I don't know what to give my kids. I don't have anything to leave my kids. Go buy a book, right? For $25-$30 and give that to their child. That was so awesome. You guys, down below, right there, it says Q&A. It says Q&A on your screen. Let's ask some questions. I know you guys have some burning questions that you want to ask Lisa. And so let's ask some questions. And I want to keep it to like, I want to talk to you about my membership. I don't want to talk about that, right? I don't want to talk about, you guys call your local office and find out when they're reopening and all that kind of stuff, because it is reopening. It's almost reopened in all the other states, right? Just California, you guys, it's a little crazy, but go call your sales rep for that. But I want to talk to you guys about your mindset. Okay, what do we got to do to help you guys grow your business and get to where you guys deserve to be? So the first one here, Frankie, can those steps be written down here, please? Yeah, I guess we could try to do that. I'll have my admin go ahead and put in the 13 principles right there. The next one is Jeremy Benton says, let's see here, this question. All right, here we go. It says here, how did you utilize the 13 principles in your career in the fitness and gym world?
So those are the fitness in the gym world, the 13 principles. There are 5 things that I use the principles. It's a whole life encompassing type of question. That's a great question, because fitness, it has to do with health. And there's 5 things that I manage, that it means everything to me to keep in balance, because without this kind of balance, I'm going to throw myself off, and you can't overcome one goal with the other. So the 5 things I keep in balance is my health. When you think about the 13 principles, and that's touching up on the question you just asked, when it comes to health, you have to have a burning desire. So when you set a goal and you connect, and when it talks about burning desire, what does it mean to you? So if you want to set health goals, fitness goals, any goal, you really have to think deeply, pull back some layers. Don't just say, I want to feel better. Get specific. It is so important in this book. It tells you to get specific and get specific about what are the real underlying burning desire reasons why you want it. And so ultimately, why do you want it? Well, think about the whole value of being healthy or being at the weight or the, body fat or whatever it is that you set a goal for. What's that going to do for you? There's so much help that this has had when I sit down and have conversations. There's people who say, you know what, when I lower my blood pressure, I'm going to live a healthier life. My wife will feel much more confident that we're going to spend it together. My grandkids, I can't run around. My grandson's in soccer, and I'm not able to join in with him. I don't want to sit on the sideline. So it's going to get me living the life I want as soon as I hit my health goals. So you can't just say, I'm just going to feel healthier. You really got to dig down deep and really understand, like, what is it going to do for you? And as soon as you start writing these things down, your desire, your motivation for wanting to achieve your goals are just going to mean that much more to you. And without the right burning desire, and this is definitely one thing that as you go through all the steps of the book, when you go through it, you think back, wow, if I don't have a burning desire, at some point, I'm going to lose steam on this. I'm going to lose commitment on this, because sometimes the work gets arduous. Sometimes it gets boring. Sometimes, so you need the better and the stronger the burning desire. Those are going to, when you write that down, that's what's going to get you past those moments of stopping or, just falling out of habit. So, one thing I've learned, it takes 21 days to create a habit. Things could have changed, but we say it takes 21 days to create a habit or break one. It takes 90 days to be fanatical about it. So we use those timelines just to say, you got to go at it. You got to put this in your mind every single day for that amount of time, and just get yourself pumped up about it. Again, the more you read your burning desire, the more consistent you'll stay on your goal.
Awesome. All right. Next question is from Johnny Durney. Said, how did you balance your family and your occupation?
That is a really great question. That is something that I put, it's a constant focus, because I'm really competitive. I really, I will throw myself into something. I'm that kind of person. I'll lose sleep. I will skip a meal. I will, sleep, meal, health, this. I will just get into something so much and get so overly focused that it's not exactly healthy. So I have to write goals and I write my schedule down. And it is difficult. And you really have to learn not just to say yes to things, but you have to learn to say no. Because if you try and spread yourself, make everybody happy, you are going to fall short on a few other important goals that matter most to you. So one of the steps that I use is I have my 5 balances. So my finances, my health, my relationships, my career, and more than anything, I mean, those particular things are dear to me, and, spiritual and faith. Those 5 things are very important for me to manage. So I have specific steps and what exactly do I want to achieve in those things? Then so once I prioritize, what are the important things? How would that look to me? So, okay, how do my finances? This is what I wrote down. My retirement arc. And in my very first workbook, I wanted to have no credit card debt. I wanted to have X amount in my savings account. I wanted to hit this income goal. I really was specific about what I wanted my finances to look like. And because I wrote it down, and because I wrote down what it meant to me to have those things, and I looked at it every day, and then I went on my day, but then spirituality. So, doesn't mean I do everything into that. So I have my 10 minutes of spirituality to start my day right, to start my day with something positive and something to look forward to. Then I do a little bit into my career reading. I'll do a little bit into whatever it is, like my 3 topics, and I'll get that out in 30 minutes. I got to time manage at 10, 10, and 10. So I get that done, and I sit in the moment for those 3 sessions that I invest 10 minutes a day in. So I'll do that. I set a date night with my husband. We have been doing a lot of cooking together. We built a little arcade game room and our room downstairs, one of our guest rooms, and we have date night there because we went to a barcade one time on a date, and so we wanted to recreate that, and then we cook. And so relationships, finances, faith, you got to write down the things what that looks like for you, then take it into a step of fitting it into a 7-day-a-week schedule. Is this something that you can manage 1 time a week, 1 time a day? You got to really write out a schedule. I do it 2 weeks in advance just to see what it looks like and to see if it's realistic. So I'll do my pay period, my week 1 in pay period 1, my week 2 in pay period 1, and then I'll do everything else because that's how my business is kind of structured. So I make it make sense. I make sure it's realistic. And, a lot of times I do have to say no to certain things, because if I start filling a lot of these things in, I don't want to cut out a date night. My marriage is very important to me. I don't want to cut out breakfast time with my dad and golf time with my dad. He's everything to me. So these things are important, and you just have to be realistic with the time that you can invest. And then when you're there, it's just, something I learned, love the one you're with. So, devices out, I think it's great. Golf is great. You can't be on your phone, so, just doing things and being in the moment with the person that you have in front of you is, I think, going to be a lost art. And it's more challenging the more technology kind of comes out, but you got to be a little bit more diligent on that. So hopefully
all right.
that helps out.
Yeah, great response. Okay. There was a question by Adriana. Adriana, you said, when you go through your 13 steps, do you find a way to apply to your daily life throughout your day? Could you be just a little more specific? I don't know. Did you understand that question, Lisa? When you go through your 13 steps, do you find a way to apply to your daily life throughout your day? Maybe you could be a little more specific, Adriana. We're going to go to Julie Shea. She says, how do you overcome any current challenges that you have with principles you've read?
Shay, that's a really great question, because I've had challenges it seems like I go through some challenges with every level that I get to. It's a whole new, sometimes, set of challenges that come across my way. So I use the 13 steps because the 13 steps will really help me apply when I feel a challenge, a mental ceiling, a perceived ceiling. I go to the workbook and I kind of write down, well, why am I perceiving this as a challenge? Why do I think this about, myself? And what is, I feel so empowered through the book, because challenges to me, I look forward to them. My confidence through the 13 steps has been built up so much that I welcome a challenge because it's something that I'm excited to overcome. So I'm not worried about overcoming it. I know that there will be a solution, a way. I just have to apply my mind. I just have to apply and sometimes ask for help. So ask an advisor, ask someone who has more knowledge than you do. I've learned to not be afraid to ask for help, and to just kind of think about exactly how far can I get myself to a solution, and then what help do I need. So the 13 steps do help me overcome my challenges just by identifying, well, what is this? Am I not believing in myself? Is there an old tape that's playing through my head that's maybe keeping me from heading this on in the way that I should with confidence? And when you think about this, am I just not organized? Do I not have it organized? So the first thing I have to do is get very specific about what the problem is, just like I would a goal. Get very specific about it, identify it as clearly as you possibly can. Then have a plan. How am I going to get past this? But it has to be what I've learned to use as a SMART plan. So any kind of plan that I put has got to have a SMART requirement, specific. It's got to be specific. It's got to be measurable. It's got to be attainable, achievable, realistic, and time factor. If my plan includes all those steps and hits all those acronyms, I know that I have given myself a very in-depth, very specific, with steps way to overcome, either reach my goal or overcome a challenge. And if it doesn't work, then I'm just monitoring constantly the results. And if it's not working, I just redirect myself. Like, where's my plan falling apart? So when you write things down, it allows you to see where it's maybe not working. Where's the weakness in the plan? And every time you go through, maybe you hit the challenge again, well, you're able to anticipate, or you kind of already have been there before. So you're getting used to overcoming either the same challenge or a new one, and just applying the same steps, the same kind of principles. So hopefully that helps.
That's awesome. All right. Here's a question I think the ladies will appreciate, from Esther Charles. Esther's says, how challenging was it going through the ranks, coming up against male colleagues for your promotions?
And it's Esther. That's Esther.
Yeah, Esther Charles. Yeah.
I love this question. I have a group in my company. It's called Leading Ladies, and I do a lot of mentoring for females in my company. And one of the things that I can share that I got from my dad was kind of help out. My dad was a football coach, and so any sport that I played, my dad decided to be my coach on and off the field or on and off the court. One of the things that I grew up with, I'm very thankful for. He didn't coach me he coached me as an athlete, not a female. He coached me to achieve and to, again, through the steps, through the process. And that's what I love. These steps are not gender-based. Whenever one of my leading ladies says, I ask them to take ownership, and first, don't let yourself think about the gender too much. I personally never saw myself as a female. I see myself as a sales representative. I saw myself as an assistant general manager, and I saw, hey, I got enough problems of my own. I don't need to take on someone else's. So I kind of have the attitude that if someone has, I don't know, it could be. I have had a couple situations where, yes, the person was very clear. He wasn't that excited about working with me or working as me being his VP. Very rare. But it had to hit me so clear in the face that was an issue, that it literally had to be said to me, because I think that one of the first mistakes women can do is just have that in their head that it's a male dominated industry. I'll share with you some of the numbers so that you know that the less you think about it, it's more of an advantage to you. When I was a general manager, I think one of the first GM meetings I went to that the company had, I believe I was about 23, and we pretty much was in California. We were just breaking in Arizona, and I believe we had maybe 40 some clubs in California. I was the only female in the room. Didn't recognize it until it was kind of pointed out. Again, these things I don't look for them, so I don't see them until someone points it out to me. When I became a district VP, I was the only female, and then there were two, and then there were one. So I get that the numbers are low, but I think it's more in our head the majority of the time than it would be in someone else's. And if it's in their head, I'm really not thinking about it. I think that that's their problem to have to deal with, maybe to not be comfortable working with a woman. But I personally, one of the things, and this could be helpful, maybe addressing your question a little bit better. I hope I'm answering it. But one tip that I can give the females and the ladies is, if you are in a leadership role, one of the key things that I'm constantly told, this is one of the strengths, is collaboration. When I am with a team, when I am working with others, I am a collaborator. I love collaborating with people. As a matter of fact, if there's two team members, I love synergizing. I love collaborating. When there are two team members who aren't getting along together, then I do what I can to help them see the best in each other, because we got a lot of work to do. We really don't have time to pick apart each other. We got to work together. We got to pull together here, and move forward together, working together, edifying each other, supporting one another. We got customers to serve. It's a waste of time to really focus and overfocus and let two people not get along. So one of the key things, and I just think that women have a lot of natural talents that the world is screaming for right now. So if you are a woman and you are on this line, and you are, watching, you are needed. Your natural gifts are incredible, and they are needed now more than ever. It's really what has helped me stand out. So collaborator, I'm not there to fight with my male teammates. I want to identify, and it just comes to me. I love it. I see someone and I focus on what are their strengths. And I tell them what I see that they are. Is there anything that they're worried about? Is there anything they want to work on? Is there anything that we can pull that you might be concerned could be potentially a weakness? So I want to play off their strengths. I don't want them focusing on their weaknesses. But being a collaborator, there's the strategic power of being a collaborator is beyond what women really understand. We're nurturers. We are just natural collaborators. I mean, that's what we do. We bring together the home. If we can take that just natural quality and take it into business, you'll be sought out more often than a lot of others who are too busy competing or hoarding information. I mean, I'm trying to give as much as possible to strengthen up my team and strengthen up, my soldiers. I mean, we got a lot to do. We've got a lot of people to serve, a lot of people to help. So hopefully, in a couple ways that help answer your question.
Great. Awesome. Hey, I got a couple questions for you, because a lot of people here in sales, and you've got a background in sales yourself. What is a best way? Because I'm sure everybody gets rejected, and they get a client, they're trying to present their service or product, and the client says, I'd like to think about it. I'd like to digest this a little bit. Yeah. Right? What would you say to that? Quickly, what would your response be to that, as to overcome that objection? What's your line or statement?
Oh, John, you just hit up on one of my favorite concerns. Like, I really love that, because my job when helping someone is to understand their needs, their wants, and their desires. And if I don't know exactly what they mean by that, I just need to ask more questions. So one of the things I do is I welcome when someone says, I really need to think about it. And I look at myself as I am here to serve them. I am here to help them. So they're not, maybe a lot of times the way I look at it, when someone needs to think about it, they need more information. But if I'm not clear on what exactly they need to think about, then it's my job to ask for the clarity. And so I would just say, so John, that's, I completely respect that concern. So having to think about it, a lot of people will get to that point. It's a lot to process. This could be a lot of information, and it could be new. Just so that I'm aware and I can best help you. Would you mind sharing with me what exactly? So I got to isolate it. I really got to know specifically what exactly would be the one thing that they need to think about. There could be multiple things. So but what's the biggest one? What would be the one biggest thing that you need to consider, weigh out, and from there, what would be the first thing that comes to mind? So I want to pull that out. I want to pull that from them, and just to get them to share what would be the one biggest concern or their biggest one thing they need to think about. And then it's really, it can be challenging, but you gotta zip it and then let them talk. And really one of the best skills that you can learn is listening. It's hard for me. Sometimes I have thoughts, I have ideas, but sometimes you really they need to talk. We need to be great listeners.
Yeah, great answers. Some people comment all that. Love the response. Okay, here's my final question for you. When you do follow-up, so let's just say you don't close on the first day. Client comes in, you give them the awesome tour, whatever, and they go, I just need to talk to my husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, mom and dad, my best friend, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Does your sales rep, are they supposed to call back within a day? Do you wait a week? Like, how soon do you want to follow up? And how many times do you follow up before you finally say, all right, let this one go, they're not interested, and you just go on? Like, how do you train on that?
To me, this is one of the most endearing concerns that people can have, is that, I gotta talk to my spouse, because I can relate to that. And I will let somebody know right away. Just say, just so you know, I can relate to talking to my spouse more than you know. And if there is one thing that I respect more, is that the respect that two people have in their marriage to speak about how they spend their money, and where they want to invest it, or where a membership is an investment. I call it an investment. It's time, it's effort, it's money. It's an investment from someone. So what I do is I just kind of get a little bit more information, so I understand what exactly would they need to speak to their spouse about. What I do is I give them an idea, and I let them know that, listen, so, kind of the way I look at it is, I go to Coffee Bean and I'm in line and I want my favorite cup of coffee. It's going to be $5-6. I know for a fact I really don't need to pick up the phone, call my husband, and ask if it's okay to spend the $6. But if I were meeting my girlfriend for lunch and we're out walking, and I think I'm window shopping, but I happen to see something that I want, just a little bit of off the whim, and let's say it's a $200 pair of shoes. And for me, anything I know over 150, I'm just gonna say, hey, babe, I really see these pair of shoes. It's over that $150 mark. You okay if I just, throw down the $200 for these shoes? I'm really liking them. And, and so again, so I put it out there that there is a certain dollar amount that I'm going to call my husband about. Just going to give him a ring. So, and I would ask, so what would be that dollar amount for you? Is it not am I maybe filling this out a little bit wrong? Maybe is it not so much a money concern that you want to speak to your husband about? Would it be something else? And then this way, I should never walk away from a question or a concern from somebody I'm sitting with, not really knowing exactly what they need to think about. What is that they need to speak to their spouse about? Is it the monthly concern? Is it a down payment concern? What would be their biggest concern about speaking to, what is it? What do you plan to talk about? If you don't mind me, could I be a little fly on the wall right now? Would you mind if I kind of understood a little bit more what you want to, throw around with your husband? What would be the biggest thing that you want to talk to him about before making this important decision for you? Because clearly we talked about a lot of things today, John, but maybe you want to talk to Arlene about a couple of things. What would be the first top number one thing you'd want to talk to Arlene about, and just to get her feedback on it? And then if I can't get specific, it's really my job to have all the details. It's my job to help the person. It's my job to make sure and I understand all of the concerns or hurdles that they may have to overcome, because just like us, they have hurdles. It could be a fear. It could be, so that's what we are here to do. We're here to help them. Our product helps a lot of people. I believe in your product, John, and just, to understand finances, it is so important to know how this can help me and how not moving forward with this could hurt me. So yes, thinking and talking to spouses, I welcome it. It's really important.
That's awesome. And then how many times do you follow up? Like once, twice, 3, 4 times, and then you leave a message? And then after how many times will you just give up and stop calling them back and feel like you're being a nuisance rather than someone being helpful?
That's a really great point, because I think that I let the customer decide. If I let them decide, hey, if they are not saying I can give ideas, and if I'm following up on a phone call and they don't, let's say they're not returning my phone call. So if they're not returning my phone call, I actually will leave a message saying, the last thing I want to do is be a pest or be someone who's bothering you. I definitely have some clear ideas in my mind of how to help you out. Maybe even some steps to overcome whatever your challenges, challenging you to taking this next step with me. But if I am bothering you, please, would you also call me, let me know, because I do have a lot of customers that would just want me to follow up with them because it's just not the right time. So could you call me back, let me know what it would be for you? Is it just not the right time, or you need a little help before getting to the next step? And I asked them for a reply anyway.
Awesome. Oh, there you go, guys. Come on now, everybody. Give Lisa a big round of applause. Put your hands up. Hit the little button down below. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, look, we've got people here. Lisa, look at all the hands flying up. I don't know if you can see it. We got New York in the house, New Jersey. We've got Vancouver, Canada, Georgia. We got Maryland. We got Alberta, Canada. We got Las Vegas in the house, Maryland. I'm just going down. More people from Vancouver, Canada, Seattle. Yeah, the list just goes on, and wow, all over the North American continent. Hey, folks, thank you so much for tuning in today. And Lisa, you did awesome. Thank you so much for giving us all your insight, your experience, and how Think and Grow Rich, the workbook. And I want to just say congratulations on all your promotions over your lifetime, and you deserve it because you worked hard at it. You've been laser focused, and I love your tenacity and your competitive nature, and that, hey, kudos to your dad because he raised a competitive daughter, so that is awesome. Yeah.
The honor is mine. Thank you so much. I hope that there was a couple people, at least, if anything, I could help out there, and a couple ladies. Feel free to reach out if you need a little encouragement or some help with the steps. I mean, John's like the guru of the steps, but I'm also here to help if you need anything. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. All
Thanks
right. Talk to you later. All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you go, you guys. Lisa Lopez, Executive Vice President of LA Fitness, just gave an amazing talk, her insight. Man, this is so incredible, you guys. I want to just let you know, we've got some great things that are coming up. And listen, she's on Instagram and Facebook. She comes on here, man, giving up her time away from her family. Hit her up on Instagram and Facebook and tell her thank you. I would appreciate if you guys would reach out to her and just say thank you to her. Hey, for those of you that are here for the first time, would you please do us a favor? Get with me. Call me directly or call the person who invited you here today and say, hey, I love this. I want to know more about it. I want to help my business grow, all that kind of stuff. We're here to help you. We're here to serve you in so many different ways. We got some amazing upcoming events, you guys. February 10th, Wednesday, just so you know, I've got my new orientation. For those of you that are brand new, you're trying to get started, don't know where to begin, too many moving parts, come and join me. February 10th, I've got 2 parts to this, part 1 and part 2. This coming Wednesday at February the 10th at 6:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, basically tomorrow, okay? I'm going to give you guys part 1 of my 2-part new associate orientation, okay? On Thursday, this coming Thursday, Regional Vice President from Global Atlantic, Anthony Brown, will be joining us and talking about some of the newest, latest, greatest products from Global Atlantic. And then also this coming Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a wonderful, wonderful program for you this coming Saturday. Now, I want you guys to do me a favor. Next week on Tuesday, we have this lady. She is an expert on reverse mortgages, all right? Reverse mortgages. We want to go and find out exactly what I want to do is find out, is this reverse mortgage thing, is it good? Is it bad? How does it work? How does it impact our parents? Let's find out if we can overcome some myths about reverse mortgages. So for those of you that have anybody that has questions about reverse mortgages, let's go and find out the truth next week on Tuesday night, okay? And just so you guys know, we have a special movie screening on February 20th. Make sure you guys register down below here. And do me a favor, not sure what, oh, here we go. February 25th, just so you guys all know, please lock in your calendars because we have the Chief Investment Officer and CEO of Global Summit or Summit Global Investments. His partner was on a program with us. Was that Saturday? Was it, or what day? Yeah, it was on Saturday. His name was Bryce, and Bryce did a phenomenal job. Since that time, we've had over 200 of you guys calling us saying, how do I get my Series 65? What's it take? How much does it cost? Where do I go? How do I study it? Where do I get the material? Blah, 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 blah. And so we want to talk about all that too, okay? So he is going to go a little bit more in depth about hedge funds, okay? Now, just so you know, the hedge funds, you know, our mutual fund, the Transamerica Capital Growth Fund, last year did over 100% rate of return. Their hedge funds did almost 190% return last year. You guys, that is crazy, all right? That's what we're talking about. Active money management. What does it mean? How does it work? And how do I get assets under management? We're going to be very strategic with you guys and show you all about this. How do you get 4, 5, 7 plans? I don't know if you guys even know what those are, but we're going to talk about how to get 4, 5, 7 plans under management. How do we get pension money of municipalities or maybe association or wherever? We want to go in there and teach you how to do that. We're going to have 1 hour. It's going to be an action-packed hour. Make sure you guys register down below. And I'll tell you what, make sure you get all your teammates to join us. And this is going to be an extraordinary hour to help you guys truly understand how to create wealth for your clients and how to build a massive amount of residual income for yourself by getting assets under management and building up that residual portfolio. You guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. We went a little bit long. It was always great to hear from Lisa Lopez, and wishing you guys a wonderful Tuesday night. Take care, everyone. Good night.